On Christmas morning, I gave her a promise ring and she gave me a pregnancy test, even though I had a vasectomy. Then I found out the dad was my brother, and they said, it just happened. So I called my lawyer and posted a video titled, Cheated on by Family. It was supposed to be perfect. Christmas morning. Snow outside. Coffee and cinnamon rolls on the counter. I even had a playlist running low in the background, her favorite old love songs. I've been planning this moment for weeks. After 2 years of struggling through therapy, money problems, and a few bad fights, I wanted to show her I still believed in us. So I got her a promise ring. Nothing flashy, just something meaningful. A quiet symbol that we were still solid, still trying. When she opened it, she cried. Like full-on tears, hand over her mouth, whispering, "Oh my God." For a second, I thought I did it. I actually made her happy again. Then she said, "Wait, I have something for you too." She handed me a small, wrapped box. Light, square. I thought maybe it was a watch or a keychain or something sentimental. I opened it. Inside was a white plastic stick. At first, my brain didn't even register what I was holding. But then I saw the faint blue plus sign. Pregnancy test. Positive. She smiled, nervous and teary. "We're having a baby." My hands started to shake. I didn't know what to say, because 2 years ago, after our second miscarriage, I got a vasectomy. It wasn't some secret. She was there when I scheduled it. Drove me home after the procedure. Brought me soup. My voice came out dry. "That's impossible." She tilted her head, like she'd been expecting that reaction. Then she said, real slow, "Figure it out, genius." That's when my heart dropped. Not confusion anymore, just cold clarity starting to crawl up my spine. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the test. I just stared at her, really looked at her. And for the first time in months, I saw it. The weird guilt she'd been hiding behind mood swings. The sudden nights she needed space. The way she started dressing up for family dinners again. I stood up, walked outside into the snow, and called my doctor. He confirmed what I already knew. My vasectomy results were still clear. I couldn't get anyone pregnant. Period. I went back inside, set the test down on the table and said, "You need to tell me who it is." She crossed her arms, jaw tight. It doesn't matter. But it did. And I was going to find out. Later that day, I did in the ugliest way possible. Because the father wasn't some stranger. It was my own brother. And everyone in my family already knew. Her name's Lena, and we met in Cincinnati back in 2016. She was working at a small cafe downtown, and I was doing electrical work for a new office building next door. I used to stop in every morning for coffee I didn't even need, just to see her smile. She had this kind of energy that made the room quieter when she laughed. Sounds cheesy, but it's true. We started dating fast. Within a few months, she moved into my apartment. She said I made her feel safe, like life finally had structure. And I loved hearing that because I'd always been the fixer in my family, the dependable one. My younger brother, Evan, was the opposite. He was the funny one, the charmer, the one who never took anything seriously but always seemed to land on his feet. My mom used to say, "You two complete each other. One's the heart, one's the head." When Lena met Evan, they clicked right away. Not in a flirty way, at least not then. Just that easy banter people have when they share a sense of humor. I remember being proud that they got along. I wanted her to feel at home with my family. Then we got married in 2019. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Evan gave a toast that made everyone laugh. He said, "If my brother messes this up, I'm taking his wife," and everyone laughed, including me. I didn't realize he meant it. The first couple of years were good. We talked about having kids, but after the miscarriages, Lena started changing. She was distant. She'd cry at night and say she didn't feel like a woman anymore. I tried to be patient, tried to support her, but I was grieving too. That's when I got the vasectomy. I thought it would take the pressure off her, remove the constant fear of another loss. I thought it was love. She said she understood. But after that, something in her eyes went dim. Then came the fights. Stupid things, mostly. Money, time, her job. She'd storm out, stay with her friend Marcy for the weekend, then come home like nothing happened. Evan started showing up more around then, helping me with small projects, offering advice, checking on Lena. My mom thought it was sweet, said he was just being supportive. Once, I came home early from a night shift and found him sitting on our couch with her. It was 11 p.m. They jumped up like they were caught stealing something. He said he was just keeping her company, since she'd been crying about our fight. I believed him, because he was my brother. But now, thinking back, it all lines up. The way she laughed a little too loud at his jokes. The way he'd text her memes and she'd hide her phone. The way my mom once said, "You know, they just get each other." I ignored every sign because I didn't want to be the jealous husband. I wanted to be the trusting one. And that trust, that blind, stupid trust, is exactly what they used to destroy me. After that Christmas morning bombshell, I started replaying the last year in my head like a bad movie I couldn't stop watching. Every fight, every weird look, every "I'm just tired" suddenly had a new meaning. The signs had been everywhere. I just didn't want to see them. It started around last February. Lena began staying out late after work. She said she was hanging out with co-workers, decompressing. I believed her, until I saw an Uber charge on our joint account that started at my brother's address. When I asked about it, she laughed and said, "Oh, Evan gave me a ride home that night. Remember? You were working late." Except I wasn't. I'd been home by 8. Still, I let it go. Because that's what I did. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Then, in the spring, my brother started acting strange too. Normally he was all jokes and smiles, but suddenly he couldn't look me in the eye. He started canceling our usual Saturday hangouts, saying he was too busy doing what he never said. My mom noticed I was distant, told me I needed to appreciate Lena more. Apparently Lena had been talking to her about how lonely she felt in our marriage. I remember that night vividly. I went home and made dinner for Lena, lit candles, tried to talk. She just stared at her phone the whole time. When she finally looked up, she said, "You don't even know what I need anymore." I didn't know then that what she needed was my brother. By summer, I'd stopped trying. We existed like roommates. She'd spend weekends visiting her sister in Columbus, and Evan suddenly had work trips that lined up perfectly with her absences. In October, I caught her in a small lie that finally woke me up. She said she was at the gym, but her location shared from Find My iPhone showed she was at a hotel near the highway. When I confronted her, she claimed she was meeting a friend for mental health support. She cried so hard I actually apologized to her. Yeah, I apologized. And here's the thing, my brother's been my best friend since we were kids. We went through our parents' divorce together, shared a room for years, even covered each other's screw-ups as teenagers. When Dad died, Evan and I promised we'd always have each other's backs. So when the idea that he could be involved crossed my mind, I shut it down immediately. It was too cruel to believe. But looking back, there were small moments that should have told me everything. Like how Lena always sat next to him at family dinners. Or how, when I'd walk into the room, their conversation would stop dead. Or how once, when she was drunk, she accidentally called me by his name, and then laughed it off. By November, I knew something was broken beyond repair. I'd started sleeping on the couch. She barely noticed. So when she handed me that pregnancy test on Christmas morning, it wasn't shock I felt. It was confirmation. And when I finally found out how deep the betrayal went, I realized I wasn't just dealing with infidelity. I was dealing with a conspiracy. The truth didn't come out because Lena confessed. Came out because my mom slipped up. It was later that same Christmas day. The house was full. My mom, my stepdad, Evan, his girlfriend, yeah, he actually had one, Lena, and me. Everyone was trying too hard to pretend things were normal, like the air wasn't thick enough to choke on. I'd already confronted Lena privately that morning, and she'd just given me that smug little smirk. "Figure it out, genius." That phrase kept looping in my head like a damn echo. So I sat there through dinner, barely speaking, watching her laugh at something Evan said across the table. Watching him look back at her like she was the only one in the room. And that's when my mom said it. She was tipsy on her second glass of wine and trying to keep the peace. She put her hand over mine and said, "Sweetheart, I know it's hard, but maybe this baby is a blessing. Maybe it'll bring the family closer again." The family. The room went silent. Even the TV in the background felt too loud. I said slowly, "What do you mean, Mom?" Her face went pale. She looked at Lena, then at Evan, then back at me. "Oh, I thought you knew." I stood up so fast my chair screeched. "Knew what?" Evan muttered, "Mom, stop." But it was too late. My mom whispered, "It was just one mistake, honey. They both regret it. Don't let this ruin Christmas." One mistake. I don't even remember flipping the table, but I did. Plates shattered. Wine spilled like blood across the floor. My stepdad tried to hold me back, but I shoved him off. Lena stood there, crying. Evan kept saying, "It just happened, man. We didn't mean to hurt you." That phrase, "it just happened," made something inside me snap. I said, "When?" He said, "The night after Dad's memorial." I felt sick. That was the night Lena told me she was too sad to be around people and stayed at Mom's house. I'd spent that night alone, drinking in the garage, trying to write a letter to Dad I'd never send. Meanwhile, my wife and my brother were in the next room, comforting each other. My mom kept saying, "Please, please, don't make a scene. It's Christmas." But I wasn't hearing words anymore, just noise. I walked out, got in my truck, drove until I couldn't feel my hands from gripping the wheel. I pulled over on the side of Route 52, turned off the engine, and just sat there. When I finally stopped shaking, I called my lawyer, told him I needed to file for divorce immediately. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my phone, scrolled through our old photos, and found a video from our wedding day. Evan's toast. The one where he joked about taking my wife if I ever messed up. I edited it down, added subtitles, put a caption. Turns out he wasn't joking, and I posted it on Facebook. Within an hour, it had 1,000 shares. But I wasn't done, because exposing them publicly was just step one. That video blew up faster than I expected. By the next morning, my phone was a war zone. Missed calls, texts, messages from people I hadn't talked to in years. Half the family was telling me to take it down. The other half was quietly sending thumbs-up emojis. Evan called me 12 times. Lena texted, "You're making it worse for everyone." Good. That was the point. But I wasn't going to stop at humiliation. I wanted precision. I wanted to make sure every move they made after that cost them something. The first call I made was to my lawyer again. I told him everything, the affair, the pregnancy, the timeline. He was calm, like he'd heard it all before. Then he said something that changed the game. If the child isn't yours and you can prove paternity, you can not only contest any support, but you could also have grounds for alienation and emotional distress. So I went to work. I gathered every piece of evidence I could. Text screenshots, bank statements, location data, even a hotel receipt I found in the glove box of Lena's car. I forwarded it all to my lawyer, who told me to sit tight and keep things civil on paper. Civil, sure. But I was already working on something else. Lena and I shared a small business, a side gig installing home sound systems. Technically, I owned 60%, but she handled the client bookings. I logged into our business email and found something that made me laugh out loud in disbelief. Evan had been referring clients to her privately and taking a finder's fee. He was literally making money off me while sleeping with my wife. So I started transferring every contract, invoice, and login into my name. Quietly, legally. And by the end of that week, the business was solely mine. Then came Evan. He worked for a real estate firm, one where reputation mattered more than performance. I knew one of his higher-ups through a renovation job I'd done 2 years back. I sent that guy a link to the video and said, "Just giving you a heads up about who's representing your brand in town." 3 days later, Evan was on leave. While all this was happening, my family tried to play peacemaker. Mom called crying, begging me to stop destroying your brother's life over a mistake. I told her I'd stop when he gave me back the last 8 years of mine. Lena showed up at my apartment once, trying to talk. She said she didn't mean for it to go that far, and that she'd been confused after the miscarriages. I told her I'd be sending divorce papers soon and that I wanted a paternity test before anything else. She said, "You're cruel." I said, "No, I'm thorough." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. Her tears, his excuses, my mom's pleading. And I realized something. The people who'd hurt me weren't sorry. They were just sorry I found out. So I decided to take it one step further. Something more public, more final. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to show everyone who they really were, using their own words, their own smiles, their own memories. Because if they wanted to figure it out, genius, I'd make sure the whole world figured it out too. I thought I'd uncovered every lie there was. I thought the worst part was knowing my brother had slept with my wife. But a few weeks later, I learned that wasn't even the full betrayal, just the opening act. After the video went viral, people started reaching out. Some were old friends offering support. Others were strangers who just wanted the drama. But one message stood out, from a woman named Kelsey, who said she used to date Evan. She wrote, "You should probably know Lena wasn't the first. Your brother's been bragging about you for years." At first, I didn't understand what she meant, so I asked, and what she sent next made my stomach turn. Screenshots, dozens of them. Conversations between Evan and her from months back. In them, Evan joked about me like I was some gullible idiot. He'd said, "My brother trusts anyone with a smile. He thinks he's the stable one, but he's just easy to manipulate." Worse, he'd bragged about getting away with it before. There were pictures, too. Not of Lena, but of other women I'd dated years ago. Women I introduced to my family when I was younger. Apparently, Evan had a pattern. Every time I was serious about someone, he'd find a way to get close to her, just to see if he could. Lena wasn't an accident. She was just the one who took the bait all the way. I felt sick. My brother hadn't just betrayed me once. He'd been competing with me for years, quietly, cruelly, like it was some twisted game only he was playing. The next day, I confronted my mom again. I asked if she'd ever noticed anything weird between us, back when we were younger. She sighed and said, "He's always been jealous of you. You had the steady job, the house, the good girl. I guess he wanted to feel important too." Important. That word hit different. Because that's what Lena always said Evan made her feel, important. That night, while I was scrolling through old photos for the last of the evidence, I noticed something else. A picture of Lena at my dad's memorial, the same night she'd supposedly been too sad to be around people. She was standing with my brother, holding a beer, and in the background, clear as day, was my mom. So I zoomed in. My mom wasn't shocked or angry. She was smiling. That's when it hit me, she knew. From the start. She hadn't just slipped up at Christmas. She'd been covering for them. She'd been the one telling me to go easy on Lena. She'd been the one saying, "Evan's just trying to help." She'd been the one keeping me blind, because she didn't want to lose the family. So it wasn't just my wife and my brother. My own mother had been protecting the affair to keep up appearances. That's when something in me changed. The revenge wasn't about pain anymore. It wasn't about rage. It was about justice. About truth. They wanted to treat my life like a secret? Fine. I'd make the truth public enough that they couldn't hide from it ever again. But before I hit upload on the second video, I decided to do one last thing, something cold, quiet, and final. Something that would make every single one of them feel what I felt that Christmas morning. I always thought betrayal came from emotion, passion, loneliness, guilt, something human you could at least try to understand. But when I finally learned why it happened, I realized there was nothing human about it. A week after I found out my mom had known, I asked to meet her in person. We sat in her kitchen, same one I'd eaten Sunday dinners in since I was a kid. She looked tired, older than I remembered, but still had that soft, apologetic smile she used whenever she wanted to dodge accountability. I said, "Tell me the truth. How long did you know?" She sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "Since the summer." But honey, they were both struggling. Lena was falling apart after the miscarriages, and Evan was lost after losing his job. They leaned on each other. It wasn't planned. I just stared at her. "You let them lie to me for half a year." She took a sip of her tea. You've always been strong. I thought you could handle it better than they could. That's when it clicked. It wasn't about compassion. It was about control. My family had always treated me like the anchor, the one who fixed everything, the one who forgave. They depended on me being calm, steady, predictable. My mom didn't protect them out of love. She protected them because she didn't want the family dynamic to break. She needed me to stay the responsible son, the one who swallowed pain for the greater good. I asked her point blank, "So you thought it was better to let me live a lie?" And she said, without blinking, "Better one person hurt quietly than everyone's lives falling apart." That sentence gutted me. She hadn't just known. She'd decided that my pain was acceptable collateral damage. Later that night, Evan texted me again. He said he wanted to explain. I told him to go ahead. I wanted to hear it from his mouth. His message came in 3 parts. First, he said he never meant to hurt me. Second, he said Lena came to him first, crying about how distant I'd become. And then the third part, the one that made me freeze, said, "Honestly, man, I think she was just with you because she thought you were the safe choice. She told me she married you because you'd never leave, no matter what she did." That one line made everything make sense. Lena hadn't cheated out of loneliness. She'd done it because she could, because she thought I was too loyal, too calm, too steady to ever fight back. My brother didn't seduce her out of love. He did it to win, to finally take something that was mine just to prove he could. And my mom didn't cover it up out of fear. She did it because she didn't want her perfect family image ruined, even if it meant destroying me from the inside. So yeah, I finally understood the reason behind it all. It wasn't lust or grief or confusion. It was power. They'd all been using my decency as a weapon against me. They'd built their comfort on my silence. That night, I stopped being quiet, because if they wanted to see what happened when the safe choice finally fought back, I was ready to show them. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I made coffee, sat at my desk, and opened my laptop. For the first time in weeks, my hands weren't shaking. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I pulled together every piece of evidence I had, the texts, the hotel receipts, the screenshots from Evan's ex, even the photo from my dad's memorial. I wasn't just going to tell people what happened. I was going to show them. I opened a new video project and titled it, "The People Who Taught Me What Family Really Means." The video started with clips from our wedding. Me smiling, her crying, Evan laughing in the background. Then I cut to the toast. His voice echoed over the footage. "If my brother messes this up, I'm taking his wife." Then the screen went black, and a caption appeared. He wasn't joking. After that came the proof. Each message, each timestamp, each moment they thought I'd never notice. The camera footage from the hotel lobby I'd requested through a mutual contact. The photos with my mom smiling in the background. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was calm. Documentary style. Every word measured. Every clip dated and verified. At the end, I added one last slide. Some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. Some just deserve truth. Then I uploaded it. Public. Title: Merry Christmas from the Family That Broke Me. Within 24 hours, it had over 500,000 views. Evan's job officially fired him. His girlfriend dumped him in the comments section. Lena's family, who had always adored me, publicly disowned her. My mom stopped answering her phone. The next week, the paternity test confirmed what I already knew. The baby wasn't mine. My lawyer fast-tracked the divorce, and by February it was finalized. I didn't ask for alimony. I didn't want her money, her apology, or her tears. I just wanted out. I sold the house, kept the business, moved 2 hours north to Dayton, started over. It took months before the nightmares stopped. The kind where I'd hear Evan laughing behind me or Lena whispering, "You'll never leave." But I did leave. Completely. People online still occasionally find me. They call the video "The Christmas Lie," like it's some true crime documentary. I don't engage. I don't correct them. I just live quietly now. Last week, out of nowhere, I got a text from an unknown number. Just one line: "We're both sorry. Can we talk?" I blocked it, didn't even hesitate, because forgiveness is overrated. Peace isn't about forgetting. It's about finally being free from people who made you question your own reality. So yeah, on Christmas morning, I gave her a promise ring, and she gave me a pregnancy test. But in the end, I gave them something better. I gave them the truth, and it cost them everything.